Good morning.
Good morning,
How are you
Erica.
today? Yes, I'm so sorry.
Brady.
I was having a few technical difficulties and I had to update my Zoom app, of course.
Aren't we all? It's been one of those mornings for technical difficulties.
Oh boy. All right. So let me start my video here so you can see me. There we go. So all we're gonna do is quick interview. We're just gonna talk about your candidacy, why you're running,
Okay.
why you're the better choice, and then you can talk about whatever issues you see with the Secretary of State's office or in government in general. And I'll record it, and then we will put a nice article with it and get that published.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. All right, recording is going. And yeah, this should only take 10, 15 minutes, not long at all.
Okay. Is the video going to be recorded?
Yes, it is.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It is. All right, we can go ahead and get started. Good morning. My name is Erica. I am the editor-in-chief, and we are here with Dan Brady, who is running for Illinois Secretary of State. Mr. Brady, can you just start us off by telling us a little bit about yourself and your career in politics?
Sure. Presently, I'm serving as a state representative in the 105th Legislative District, and I'm Deputy Republican Leader in the State House. I've also served as the elected McLean County Coroner prior to that, and in the funeral business in my community here. And I'm running because I've always been and will continue to be a public servant who will put the public first. Running for this office, the office that touches more daily lives than any other in state government, is the Secretary of State's office. And I believe my broad base of experience in private business, a services county coroner, and a state representative has prepared me well to serve as the next Secretary of State. Whether that issues are organ and tissue donation or decreasing distracted driving for teens or senior driving education, I've worked with Secretary Jesse White and his office in passing legislation that helps in these areas, partnering with Republicans and Democrats alike. And I look at the office and its many roles, from chief librarian to its police division, to its business of an articles of incorporation, its index area and division, and all the other areas that it does in touching the daily lives of Illinoisans. And I believe my vast experience gives me the greatest ability to continue service as the next Secretary of State in Illinois.
Can you tell me a little bit about what it is that made you decide to run for this office? Because it is like you said, a very big office that does a lot of diverse things for the residents here.
Well, I think first off, I really aspired to the office. I wasn't recruited from the office. I just came off of a Republican primary where I won the Republican nomination. And I did that talking about my background, but also talking about the office itself and why the office has many, many different roles, over 20 divisions within the office itself, but it's known for driver services, for the driver services in the over 96 facilities across the state of Illinois that provides those driver services. And I've talked about the upgrades that are needed, digital, the investment in technology across these particular drivers facilities that will help cut those wait times and will help the efficiency side of things. However, we need to really start with looking at staffing those facilities so they're fully staffed, which they haven't been, and also cross-training so employees know other areas within the operations of the office. So when you arrive at a facility, you're not told that somebody's not there who usually does that and you have to come back. Then the technology side of things, and the investment in technology, and looking at not only from the basics of what can be done on a website to make it more user-friendly, but from a digital enhancement side of things, and actually tracking where the greatest volume is, where the greatest wait time is, and how we approach that from a standpoint of prioritizing services and equating staff to be there. So those are just a few things that I've talked about. And also a partnership I'd like to continue to pursue with our community colleges about serving as potential hubs or sites for facilities across the state where the investment in technology is already there by the taxpayers and lease space may be available. And maybe we could replace at a minimal cost some of these other facilities because the technology has already been paid for by taxpayers, the facilities there, and all of them have public transportation to them and is extremely important about accessibility. So a variety of areas about improvement on the technology and efficiency side of things under a Dan Brady administration.
Thank you so much. Something else that has to do with technology, I have seen other states rolling out digital identification cards. So I get pulled over and I guess I can go into my Google Wallet or Apple Wallet on my phone and show it to the police officer and they'll be able to run my information that way. What are your thoughts about that?
Well, I think that has potential, but it also has some dangers. We have to obviously be very cognizant of the fact of protecting personal identity. But yes, imagine having one digital state account that you could use across a variety of state offices and not having to have the issue of even going in those offices to be identified. And from a law enforcement side of things, we want to make sure that we are not triggering any problems that could occur from a technology standpoint with law enforcement. From the efficiency side of things, it has potential. The other, though, we also will always have, I believe, is those individuals who want to go into a facility, who want to be able to have that maybe extra hand holding, and maybe aren't the tech savvy people, but still want the services and need to have something done within a facility. So that balance needs to be there. And I think if you, whoever our next Secretary of State is, and I plan on that being Dan Brady, actually works with existing employees on some of these ideas and concepts, they would be a great resource in which to help us build at whatever type of time frame we can, as soon as we can, where the greatest need is, and make that a prioritizing situation within the office.
Thank you very much. I'm going to kind of backtrack here a little bit. You talked a little bit about an increase in organ and tissue donation, and it's something that you have taken under your arm as a state rep. I think that you co-sponsored a bill that changed the organ donation age.
Correct.
If I'm thinking of it correctly, you dropped the age from 18 to 16, correct?
Yes. What I've done, I've worked with Secretary White clear back to my county days as county coroner, and I worked with Secretary White on organ and tissue donation. I was an individual who actually approached families and talked to families about the possibility when they've lost a loved one of organ and tissue donation. So I know very much the sensitivity, but I also know the good that can come out of helping someone else through the manner of death. And my legislation in particular allowed, as I was chief co-sponsor, allowed from 18 to 16 and 17-year-olds to be on the donor registry list with the parental opt-out. That helped us from the numbers side of things as far as registration to increase a vast number. However, Illinois at one time was #1 in the country, and they have slipped in that area. I'd like to take it a step further to actually talk about the education of organ and tissue donation enhancement throughout our public libraries throughout the state of Illinois, where we have over 5,000 that the Secretary White's office right now, and the Secretary of State's office is the chief librarian. Also look at other means and partnerships that we can do to increase and enhance the education and the knowledge of organ and tissue donation. And I think that would be a big, big part of making sure that we have the best donor registry line that we can on a 24-hour basis, and that we can support those teams in hospitals, transplant teams, and the families, most importantly, who, they don't care Republican or Democrat if they have their young child on a wait list. What they want is an organ for that child, and it be done as efficiently and timely as possible to save a life.
Okay, sounds wonderful to me. I remember being a child and first learning about organ and tissue donation and thinking that it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, even better than. And I know as we get older, life gets in the way. We forget to make sure that we're registered. We don't talk about it. We don't let our families know about our thoughts and our feelings on it. And a lot of times those, um, when if you're in the unfortunate situation to be a potential donor, a lot of people don't don't get the opportunity to provide that for somebody else. So I'm very
Letting
happy.
your loved one know is extremely important, even though Illinois is a first person consent state now, which means that those questions will be asked. But certainly letting your family members know what your wishes would be is extremely, extremely important.
Absolutely. All right. And I have one final thing to ask you about, and that's driver's education. Being the parent of three teenagers right now, one who is just about ready to get his license, another who is about to get her permit, and one who's a year away from a permit. I am
You'll survive it. I did.
I am a nervous wreck and I am terrified. I remember I think that driver's education has gotten better since I was in school. I know that our hours were, I think we only needed like, I don't know, 20 or 40 hours to behind the wheel before we could go for our license. We only needed to have our permit for 6 months instead of the year that it is now.
Right.
But being behind the wheel with a teenager is a terrifying, terrifying prospect. And I would like to know your thoughts on some of the things that we can do to even further improve the driver's education field to make sure that our teenagers are not absolute maniacs and have the experience that they need to be able to handle certain situations.
Well, first off, I'm very passionate about distracted driving with our teens and driver education. As I said, I've worked with Secretary White on initiatives and been part of task force. I've also reached out to and will continue to our public, private, and private driving school about the services that are presently there. I happen to believe that the best training is behind the wheel for those new students, like your children will be. And one of those areas that's relatively new across the country is a program that's called Tire Track. And Tire Track is a program with private businesses such as Goodyear, other tire companies. What they do is they work with Secretary of State's offices or states of drivers' facilities, and they actually allow students to drive the car they'll most likely be driving on test courses, and someone obviously is with them, and they respond to what that vehicle is going to respond to them. What's a 2,000-pound vehicle going to be like when it does something you can't respond to, or it doesn't respond to you the way you think it should out on a course? I think that's invaluable training, and partnering with our schools on this and these private businesses, I think, would enhance the training of what behind the wheel really is. Hands-on training, to me, is irreplaceable for new drivers. And I think the more we can do that, the better. Classroom's important, but this is extremely important. And any other aspect of that, I certainly would be open to exploring and working with. And I'd also like to put the Secretary of State's police to some degree back in the classroom for driver's ed to talk to them about what is the title, what's a lien, what happens to you if you get an administrative hearing problems and you lose that license? How important is that? And what's it going to do to your work? How do you get to college after that or school? Well, all those type of things, they don't know. And I think we could emphasize more when I say they, the new drivers, what all the business side is of having a license and the huge responsibility that comes with having that license. And if it's taken away from you, the problems it's going to create for you.
Okay. Thank you very, very much. You gave us a lot of great things to think about when it comes to the Secretary of State office. Like you said, most people just think about it as driver services, but there's so much more that goes into it. Thank you so much for giving me some of your time this morning.
I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Best of luck to you in your race.
Thank you. I ask for your vote, and best of luck to your new drivers.
Thank you so much. You have a great day, Mr. Brady.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
Goodbye.